Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.
Thank you for joining me. This is Katie Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. Today we're talking about Biohacking 101. Holy cow, are you in for a treat today? Some of you have heard of NASDAQ. This is where your company gets to go public. Well, I have been in connection with the co-founder and VP of Best 365 Labs, who are the experts to teach you about the basics of mitochondria health. And why am I bringing this to you? Because this is not an easy industry. You have to be sharp mentally, emotionally, and physically all day long, every day in this field. And I have your back. I have had the glow up of a century. I say, look, it's better to peak late than to never peak at all. And part of my peaking performance and how I stay lit and active and able to conquer all the things that I'm working on are because I personally use the Best 365 Labs products. How cool is it? Your girl's got a hookup, right? Because I'm bringing the VP and the co-founder here. So we have Zach Miner, who is the VP of the company here, and also the co-founder, Dan Schmidt. I can say Schmidt because we're Midwestern. So I knew right
That's
away
right.
how to, I even properly spelled it. So I'm excited to have you guys here. Without further ado, help me welcome to the mic, Zach and Dan. Welcome to Beyond the Technique.
Well, thank you for having us.
Well, I'm going to start with Dan because you have kind of a special understanding as a co-founder of this company of also our industry and just some really interesting experience in your background. Can you tell me a bit about yourself and why you've gotten to this place of helping people and professionals all over the US with biohacking their lives?
No, that's a great question. Thank you for having us, as Zach said as well. But just so you know, the other co-founder is Darren Lopez. He's CEO. I'm CTO, Chief Technology Officer. Just to kind of give you a little background with that. And Darren and I go way back. Darren actually is one of the ones that brought Soft Chews, my other co-founder, into GNC, as far as with creatine and other things. So we kind of get back to formulation, and he and I met at my clinic. So I had a clinic for stem cell therapy, skin tightening, rejuvenation, so into fat reduction non-surgically and skin tightening. So that's kind of where I come in, and I did a lot of things as far as different therapies, different type of protocols that were just really off board for a lot of people, right? You could think of it as skin biohacking at the time. So trained plastic surgeons in different things and different techniques. So that's kind of where it came in. And Darren would come in all the time. He goes, I've got this idea. We did stem cell therapy on him, and we did all these things and formulations. So this is something that's been ongoing for, 7 to 10 years at least. So this is not something that just automatically came up. But what we're looking at, like biohackers do, what is happening to the body? Is there something, my belief is, the body's designed injury repair. You go into skin, right? We injure with laser, so it'll actually bring in new surfacing, right, for resurfacing. So injury repair, just like our muscles. Go to the gym, injury repair. So that's what the body's designed to do. But are we getting the right repair? Is there an impedance? Is there overabundance of something? Or is there a blockage? And that's what we're looking at. And that's what kind of biohacking is. It's looking at the body going, wow, what is it missing? What does it need? And what is impeding that progress? And that's, I guess, the easiest way that I kind of go with that. And Zach actually would come in, and I'll let him tell you a little bit more about how we met. But we've done a lot of testing. We've done bioavailability studies. Everything that we do, we're always looking at what is the main foundation of health? And that's where we'll jump into in a minute.
Yeah, Zach, I'd love to hear from you in your own words. If people are like, okay, biohacking, you're telling me is injuring and then repairing. Would you add on to that and tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, yeah, I would add on to that. So yeah, a little bit like Dan was mentioning. So before we're all together, I was also in the medical industry. So I was really interested in next level equipment, diagnostic testing. And so, I had a business where I was distributing those types of products and services to the medical community. And Dan and I and Darren hit it off because we all were just tinkerers. We wanted to figure out what's going to make us better. And so we had access to, these different backgrounds. And so my background too is with these medical devices, the class 4 lasers, the ultrasound equipment to make sure that these stem cell injections are more accurate. So just really neat things. And um, I would say it's not just bio hacking. I like to say it bio stacking. We're adding different things to make the body just improve. And so yeah, there's a lot of fun things that we've come across over the last few years, and that's why we're here now.
I'm curious, Zach, if you feel that biohacking or biostacking is not a fit for somebody. Can and literally anybody benefit from taking a look at this for their lives? Or is there anybody that's like, hey, if you have these things going on, this is not maybe the conversation for you?
So everybody is open to biohacking or stacking or whatever you want to call it. Kind of aha for us. We read a lot of books on mitochondria. And the reason why that's significant for us, there's one really good book by Dr. Christopher Palmer. He's a psychiatrist from Harvard, and the book is called Brain Energy. The aha in that book is he's meeting with all these patients that have mental health issues. And you can correlate that with other things. So think of brain fog, think of chronic fatigue, things that we deal with on a regular basis. Like, why don't I have the energy? And so the premise that he has in this book is that he meets with a patient, and he tells the patient, "Hey, you need to do this." And the patient says, You know what? That's great, but I don't have the energy." And the elephant in the room is they don't. The reality is they don't. You can tell them to do, you need to exercise more. You need to have a better diet. You need to have a better lifestyle, all these different things. And the reality is you need to address the root problem, which is the mitochondria. And so that's what we're addressing today.
Yeah, so the mitochondria is like the foundation of everything else in the body. Is this true? Oh, Dan, teach me about this.
The answer is yes, it is. Mitochondria, and you're going to see more and more people talking about it. And most of us, earlier in life, we always heard mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, right? It's what gives us energy. But it's so much more. It's immune function, it's hormone function, it's all these other things combined. So, like Zach was saying, is when we have lack of energy, the first thing we think of, oh, I need more energy. So let me go ahead and spoof up a little bit on some caffeine, or give me something as far as to jumpstart that. And what we do is we get adrenaline fatigue. And what happens is our mitochondria has a turnover just like our skin. So if we're not really giving it that foundation of health of getting new mitochondria, jumpstarting existing mitochondria, and getting rid of old senescent cells, bad cells, autophagy, guess what happens? It doesn't function right. Like Zach said, you get up and it's like, man, I just feel sluggish. I'm just tired. I can't get going. You literally can't. That also happens in the brain, because in our brain, we take 30% of our oxygen at rest and 30% of our energy. And so when you don't have that energy, of course we feel more depressed, we feel more sad, we feel all these things. And they say, like Zach said, get up and go, go, go. But you don't have that energy. So the question is on biohacking, and one of the things about biohacking is looking at all the parts of the body, not just going to medicine, because medicine can be very effective. Just so everyone knows, I don't want to be anywhere but the United States when it comes to emergency medicine, but long-term care, we fall short. And we don't really have real prevention in our medical, I hate to say it, as we do, like, look at dentistry. Hey, come in, do your checkup, do your 6 month. We don't do things like that in our medical. We wait until we're actually injured or really having a problem. Then we're treating a disease state. We can prevent that, and mitochondria is the way to prevent it.
Yeah, we didn't call this mitochondria 101 because I don't know how to spell that without checking. But that is huge. And I agree that that's going to be more and more of a conversation. So, mitochondria, if that is not healthy, it's hard to have energy and feel great everywhere else. Now, you
That's right.
are known, I mean, you have a lot of incredible, I would call it technology when it comes to your products at Best 365 Labs. Your kind of starting point, correct me if I'm wrong, is methylene blue. Some people listening have heard of this, some may not have. Now, I've been on it and I feel so awesome. I cannot, like, the combination of the couple things that I use from your company have been a night and day game changer for my life. But talk to us about, what is methylene blue?
Well, great question. Methylene blue has been used years and years in medicine. It's been used as far as it's the first antidepressant. It's actually what hydroxychloroquine is formed from. It's been used in infections as bladder infections, urinary, tract infections. So it's been used a long time. It was originally a dye, and that's where they came from. It was industrial dye, and all of a sudden they found, oh my gosh, it has all these properties, and it just blossomed from there. And what happens with, and methylene blue is, I guess, think of it more of a starting point. People kind of know us for that, but it's only one of many things. So I'll jump in that and then expand from there. Because what methylene blue has its ability to is to donate and take away an electron. Think of it like your car. When you need a car battery and your car isn't working, we don't have energy to start it, it jump starts that. So it can actually, in our what we call electron transport chain, it's the way that we process energy, it can jumpstart it. So that's just our mitochondria that's existing, that's not working well, it can jumpstart. So you start feeling better. But that's only on the one. And then when you add it with the other things that you were talking about, with NAD, and people have heard a lot about NAD
I think
or
we've all called it
PQQ.
NAD. So if somebody's listening, they're like,
Yep.
man, okay, so I've been calling it NAD. I'm
NAD,
probably
yes.
wrong, but okay. Yes.
Mhm.
Yep, NAD, and they'll go in for injections. They'll do this or that. But when you take it on a regular basis, you're getting NAD actually, or NAD actually, from the foods you eat. But the problem is we just don't get enough, or we're really not getting that. So with those two combinations, NAD and PQQ, we're getting biogenesis or new mitochondria support, jumpstarting existing mitochondria with methylene blue, and you're hearing more and more about that. And then you're also getting rid of, well, what we call spermidine, which is actually a fermented wheatgrass. What happens with that is we're getting rid of senescent cells, dead cells. And that's really what we want to do. So methylene blue has been great for people to actually, in the biohacking world, because now you have something to jumpstart it, right? They'll say, oh, go take CoQ10. The problem is, if the mitochondrial dysfunction, it won't accept anything in until it's jump-started, and then it gets back to normal function.
So let me just say this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. If everybody's listening and they're spending, like I was, significant amount of money on supplements, it may not be doing shit for you because you don't.
Exactly. Absolutely. And so that's what's everyone. Well, I'm just going to get down to the brass tacks.
Give it to me
And
straight.
as I was talking to plastic surgeons, I'm like, you guys are doing it all wrong. And they'd look at me and like, you're what? And I was teaching doctors on different therapies. And Dr. Warren is one of our medical advisors, and we do a lot with him. And this is where everything came from. It's like we look at medicine in a different way. And what happened is when you question that, they're like, I don't know why I do it. I was just told to do it that way. And so what happens is they're not looking at it. So when you tell them something, they're like, it just blows their mind. And what you just said is exactly true. Because I'll just go really quick on something. One of the things about mitochondria, just so everyone knows, mitochondria is in every cell in the body except for red blood cells. Every cell. In our skin. You wonder why people go on GLP-1s and they start looking gaunt, and you get the GLP-1 face. They look gray. You lose it in areas you don't want. It's because mitochondria didn't get helped. It even puts them further in more dysfunction. So we have a product that is helpful with that. So you're not just burning, muscle. You're not just getting muscle loss, but you're getting muscle retention and bone density and energy, and you're seeing it in your face. So just so you know, super important. And that's where we get our glow from. Look at when we're younger. Where do we get our glow from? We're having mitochondria turnover like crazy. And that's where I'm just going to go with this theory, Dan's theory. It's a pretty good theory, though. Look at what happens with women when they get pregnant. What do always people say?
You're glowing.
And why are you glowing?
Because I got GHC or whatever it's called. I don't even know.
You've got tons and tons of turnover. You're the baby, you're getting so much going on. You're getting new mitochondria at a constant basis. And that's a theory. So we get that, we see that. And so, back to your point, is one of the functions of mitochondria is that when there's an immune response, there's something coming in as far as a foreign entity, a virus or some other load, mold. What happens is it says, I don't know if it's in me or out of me. So I'm going to close up and I'm not going to let anything in or out. That's in function. So normally it'll go, oh, everything's okay. And then it gets out of dysfunction, goes back normally. But what happens is it stays in that defensive state. So it says, I'm not letting anything in or out. And this is where the trick comes in. People say, oh, take CoQ10 for this. Oh, take alpha lipoic acid. Take all these different things, glutathione, take this or that. But what happens is it still won't let anything in or out. The magic, though, with that is jump starting it with methylene blue. That's when biohacking came in and go, look at the methylene blue, because it now jump starts existing mitochondria that are in dysfunction back into function.
Well, let me ask.
That's the trick.
And I'm gonna pass it to Zach to ask: are all methylene blues created equal, or what would make a best 365 lab version different in its way of helping people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So methylene blue, for a long time, it has only been available in hospitals. It's the only known antidote for carbon monoxide and cyanide poisoning. They keep it on hand at every single hospital across the world. And so when it became popular a few years ago, as far as an IV, that's when it first started taking notice. And so that's when it caught our attention. Our thought was, well, what if we took this amazing molecule and made it more convenient for people to take? So the important thing about methylene blue, as Dan mentioned before, it used to be, and it still is, an industrial dye. And so it's important to source it from a USP source. We do that. So that means there's no heavy metals. We have a very high purity standard for the active ingredient that we use. So we do a lot of research on where it's sourced from and that kind of thing. And then we'll do third-party tests on the active ingredient before we even put into a product to make sure the purity is there. We also wanted to make sure it was easy to take. So again, after the IVs were available, you had all these communities on Facebook and social media that found out about methylene blue and they told you where to get it. But then people would be making their own products, and those communities turn into pictures of methylene blue all over kitchen countertops and floors, and it's just a mess because it's not easy to deal with. So figured out a way to put into a liquid, and we have a mineral oxide that we now call Mods Max, which is neat technology that we'll have to talk about sometime. So it's a convenient way to take it. You can put it in a dropper, or even more convenient, we made it into a compressed tablet, so easy to
Is what I do.
swallow.
I'm just gonna
Yeah,
put that
no,
out there. I do not trust myself in the kitchen to not make a friggin' mess, so I take
that's
the
right.
tablets, everything.
That's right. It's really easy to take. They're scored too. We get asked all the time, is it, do you have to take all of it? You can cut it in half. And even when you cut it, it doesn't leave a mess or anything like that. And then also the pricing. As we talk about, we're very passionate about mitochondria, and you can hear it in Dan's voice. And really, we want it to be affordable. We don't want one supplement to take the entire budget because it's foundational. You need to build on it, and that's why we talk about not just biohacking but biostacking. Let's get the mitochondria out of dysfunction. And let's not break the bank on just one product. So that way we do multiple things. Let's get the I call it like I call the mitochondria like a four-cylinder car engine. If you have one little engine cylinder not firing, the engine's going to sputter. And so methylene blue, it's taking in the oxygen, fueling that engine, and getting that that cylinder to fire again. So even if you have one cylinder, your engine's still going to fire, your car's still going to run, but you're just losing your energy capacity. So methylene blue is able to take, like Dan said, jumpstart that engine, clear out that cylinder. But also, if we have that cylinder, what we'll do is typically we'll just fire up the engine. We're revving the engine, and if you rev up an engine too much, you're going to cause damage to that engine. So if we get that energy production up, and it doesn't matter if you fuel that engine with um, fuel optimizer or whatever it may be, it's still just not going to work unless you get that cylinder to get unstuck. So methylene blue will do that because it's taking oxygen, getting that cylinder fire again, but also not only is it an oxygen donor, but it's an oxidative stress remover. So think oxidative stress like the carbon dioxide that comes out of the engine or the oil buildup. So it's fueling the mitochondria, getting the engine to fire again, and then eliminating and cleaning out the engine. So it's fueling and cleaning at the same time. So
Yeah.
that's why it's important that you're sourcing really good quality methylene blue.
Can I jump on one thing real quick that
Sure.
on your question too about what's different or why is our methylene blue different? We're the first company to actually put other products along with it to make
Mhm.
methylene blue actually more absorbable and more active. So if you look at everything that we use is all patent pending. So Darren Lopez and I, as far as co-founders, we did patents on things. And so why? Because methylene blue is great, but it's actually not just its own. So when you look at any of our products, they're always combined with other things. So like what you're taking your tablet, it's actually the NeuroPro Plus is actually methylene blue along with vitamin C, because vitamin C is definitely needed for the brain and for other function. We have in our brain fog our liquid mineral oxide with vitamin C, so it's more absorbable. It's a stabilized oxygenator, so it can oxygenate, and so methylene blue can carry much more. And so it's really very unique. We can get into that in another time, but it is definitely different. If someone's taking methylene blue, they should be taking, guess what? Best Labs 365. And I'm not just trying to promote it. I'm just saying it's different. It's in the right amount. So we have the right amount. We've never wavered. We've looked at this. You'll see some people that said, you need this much methylene blue. Oh, you need very little. And now they all come back to the equilibrium of where we've always been. So we're very much so ahead of the curve on that. And as Zach said, we make it affordable. Why? Because it is biostacking. It is stacking, whether that's red light therapy, whether that's, cold plunging, whether it's, all the different, different therapies. When it's combined with that, absolutely fantastic. But it's the starting point. And when you look at it, just like one of the ones you're taking in your stack, you've got methylene blue, but you've got the copper peptide, you got spermidine you're using, you've got methylated B12 with it, you have the vitamin C, you've got boron, so many other things that we can talk about, but they're all stacked along with it. So it's not just one thing, it's the combination to make everything work. And
Well,
that's why Best Labs is different.
here's why it makes sense for salon owners and hairstylists and all of the industry listening. Let me put it like this. If you feel like you're not firing at all cylinders, please check this product line out. And I just feel like I'm sharp and on point throughout the day without feeling like I'm jacked on caffeine and like crazy out of my mind with then crazy crashes. And here's how I would translate this. You can't put a permanent hair color on the hair without using some form of developer to open up the cuticle and then push that product in. This is the same. It's useless without the support of the other ingredients. And I appreciate you bringing up that this is why it's different. I want to ask this question though, because methylene blue is a chemical. For me, that was at the beginning, like the part that freaked me out. I really prided myself on being all natural, but let's be honest, I'm probably not all natural because there's certain injections I didn't get, but I get my Botox every single quarter, so I mean, like I'm totally hypocritical, but I prided myself on being naturopathic. I see a functional medical professional. And by the way, my functional medical professional is who originally introduced me to this line. And then I became so passionate about this. I'm like, I need to wholesale this and get this in the hands of people in my industry because people in my industry need more energy and focus and clarity and all the things. So How do you approach the conversation if people are like freaked out that this is a chemical?
Yeah.
Who wants
So
to jump on that? Go
I'll
ahead,
jump
Zach.
on it. So not necessarily a chemical, it's actually derived from a mineral. So, and the reason why it's blue is its capacity. So again, it's an electron recycler. It's attracting oxygen. So with our liquid, by the way, we have our mineral oxide, mods max, what Dan mentioned is a stable oxygen catalyst, and then vitamin C. So that actually turns methylene blue clear or light blue. And that's significant because it turns, more like an antioxidant. So you want methylene blue to donate oxygen, but also you want it to take away oxidative stress. So it's derived from minerals, some salts, and so it's perfectly safe. It's not, when you say chemical, it's not anything like that. The great thing about methylene blue, it's safe to take long term in low doses. So you can
And
take
I was
it.
taking too much. I have this problem. Everybody who's listened for years knows that I go way over the top on certain things. So,
Yeah.
what should be kind of that average standard? And the reason I bring this up is because if people are going to bundle some of the products together from what they're getting from you, how do they know the amount they should take with the methylene blue in it?
Mhm.
Total among all the things that they're taking. What should that look like? Kind of a standard best practice.
That's a great question because, when you're going to IV therapy, that's kind of what they're doing. And they're always worried about, you'll see, oh my gosh, SSRI interaction, right? Oh my goodness, so I'm taking too much. Or there are some people, GP6 um, has a issue where you can't take methylene blue if you have that. But as far as everything else, we haven't seen anything as far as the SSRI interaction. As Dr. Warren has always talked about, is the only one that's really there is one that they did a very high dose of methylene blue IV during a surgery, and it was introduced. But as you look at Dr. McCullough, guess what? He's actually saying one of the first things is that you should take if you start having something as far as depression or those sort of things. Guess what? You should start out in methylene blue rather than jumping to one of the others that are out there, as far as the antidepressant, because that's where it comes from. So very safe and very effective. But what happens is there is an amount that really is kind of looked at and really researched. In fact, methylene blue has over 40,000 different studies done on it. But we've always kind of stayed in that 0.5 milligram to 1 milligram per kilo of body weight. So when you look at that, you're actually within it. Now, there's times that I step out of that and I go, if I'm traveling, when we go to different things or I do it, I bump up a little bit more on my methylene blue or my tablet, whichever ones I'm taking, right? And so I want to make sure that I'm in good shape that way. It kind of acts as it's an antimicrobial, antifungal. It's great antiviral. So guess what? You can travel and do these things. If you're doing things and worry, you start getting cold, you start getting the kids. Guess what? That's what you take. And by the way, my whole family from start to finish takes our products. So kids to whatever, that's something that you can consult with your doctor, just so you know. But yes, we don't do anything, Darren and I in creation that he hasn't tried or I haven't tried. There's nothing that's out there in our formulations that we don't do or give to our family. So just so you know.
Wow.
Super important. So within those guidelines that you see in the bundles or whatever, we've actually looked at that. So even for a lower dose of something that's smaller or whatnot, we've taken that into account. So we stayed in that very safe range.
Yeah. Wow, this is incredible. Well, before I do some final talking points, I want everybody to know that in our show notes, there are two different links for you. One is if you want to go buy the products and try them out, you can use my special code to save 10% on your first order. If you just want to buy something and test it, try it, go to that link in the show note to try out these products. I'm personally combining a few different things, but my top two that I've been taking the longest, I'll just tell you to simplify this, is the metabolism with the ADHD. Actually, I've never, well, I abused Adderall when I was in high school because that was fun, but this has been a game changer for me and my ability to just focus and stay steady throughout the entire day. So those are my top two favorites. And of course, I have a few others that I'm doing, but if you had to start somewhere, the combination of the two, Zach has kind of affirmed to me that it's like fire, like good call to combine those. So I'm putting that out there. And then the other link in our show notes is if you're like, I need to wholesale this at my med spa, at my plastic cosmetic surgery company, at my salon for my, like, I need to have this available to people. And I would agree. It is incredible. There is nothing like the combination of what this particular lab is doing out of Utah, by the way. So USA company. And I'm really excited about you guys. And I just appreciate your support in my being fired up about you and wanting to share it with our audience. Before we're done, what would be some, and I definitely want to bring you back to talk further in all of these conversations, because this is just the beginning of people trying to understand where they can begin a new journey of their health. How would you summarize for everybody listening a great place that they could start, that they could just see, and how long? Hey, take this or start this, and at least 30 days, and see, you will notice these changes, and keep an eye on this. What would you say to that, Zach? And then we'll have Dan share what he thinks.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Dan will tell you, I was a skeptic of methylene blue at first. The week that we launched NeuroPro Plus, I had a concussion and he literally forced it down my throat. So I took two, and I'm just telling you right now, within I had the concussion symptoms for 5 days. Like Dan was just like, what's the matter with you? So I took it as a skeptic, and my symptoms were gone within 2 hours. And so that for me, that was like, okay, there's something to this. And since then, I've seen, improvement sleep scores and that kind of stuff. I guinea pig it on my parents who, they're in their early 70s. Um, and I give it to my mom. She's been a lifelong insomniac. She saw improvements in sleep. She saw improvements in a lot of different things. And she told me right away, this is like, a couple of days, like, hey, I'm seeing these improvements. Can you get me some more? And I'm like, of course, absolutely. And so a week later, I get a call from my dad. He's like, hey, what's the stuff that mom's giving me, and how come my pee's blue? And so again, same kind of story. His sleep scores were improving. Like he's a computer programmer, even in his early 70s. And so he needs to be mentally active and aware. And so it's been very helpful for him too. So, there's some cases where it might take a few, couple weeks to see some improvements. So a lot of people will see some benefits just because of the mental clarity, and the energy levels go up pretty quick. So, but yeah, for me, it was immediate. Some people, I have a friend that's a biker that had some long COVID issues, and he goes cycling with his friends and just couldn't keep up. But 3 weeks later, he just noticed that he was passing everybody, and so it wasn't anything he noticed for as far as his mental energy like that. It's just his endurance levels just increased. So those are the type of things that you'll see. It's just better clarity, thoughts, and that kind of stuff.
You just brought something to my attention. Couple things. First off, I remember when I first started taking this from my functional medical pro, and I did not pee blue till like way later. And she goes, ooh, that's a sign of a slower metabolism. Now, if I take it, it'll be like the second pee later and it's turning blue, which is interesting. So I want to know why that is. But and then my second thing is, can athletes do this for, like, if they're pro athletes and they get tested, is this fine for them? And Dan, I'll let you take this.
Right now in WADA, it's not on the anti-doping. My daughter is actually does tumbling for the USA gymnastics team. So, always looking at those things. It's not NSF at the moment, but, that is, not on that list. So we try to keep most of those things very useful for those athletes. Because one of the things is they get a lot of mitochondrial damage. And so, they need that more and more. Yeah. And so where to start? Really, and I'm just going to say this because I'm going to let people know I speak the truth. I don't sugarcoat things. What's the most important? Mitochondrial function. And we have our ultimate cellular optimization system that we have for mitochondrial health. We call it our UCO system. And that takes care of the whole mitochondria from start to finish. But it is more expensive. But when you separate all those things out, you'd be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And we wanted to make it really affordable for mitochondrial health to start. Everyone can't start there. They're not ready for that. That's the best place. However, just start one of those products. It doesn't make a difference almost which one it is. You're going to see and feel the difference. Just like you felt it on the ADHD metabolism. I need more energy. You know what I mean? How soon did you feel that? Let me ask you that. How long did it take you to know?
Like half an hour later.
Exactly. If you want to know something works, try metabolism or ADHD. People also, when we look at the NAD PQQ, NAD PQQ, they start feeling more energetic. Why? Because we're actually supporting muscle energy, right? We're getting new cells. If you go into the NeuroPro Plus, guess what? You're getting your methylene blue. You're getting the other. And so any one of those products are designed for you to start your mitochondria. So depending upon where you are in your path, please just start one. If you have a question, call and call us. We're really, we have doctors calling us all day long in the evenings. We go overseas and we're always there to help people. And if you have a question or you have a problem, people will say to us, oh my gosh, I can't believe there's a company I can actually reach out to and get an answer. And if we don't know the answer, we'll say, but we'll look and see what we can do to find that. And so we
Yeah,
also have our money back guarantee. So
yeah. Say the name of the big the whole encompassing system. Say the name of that. Again, that protocol, what is that called?
it's called our UCOS, which is our Ultimate Cellular Optimization
So UKOS.
Program. Yep. System. Yep.
Got it.
And that takes in everything. So we have our copper peptide for you in the health and wellness and beauty area. Copper peptide's beautiful, incredible. It has boron, which is guess what? Great for actually hormone production, free testosterone. It actually goes 20 to 25% on free T. For women, they're so low in T. It's regulating, right? We also have spermidine that gets rid of, guess what? Senescent cells. We have it for sleep. So we're actually getting our sleep. And always say, hey, if I want to lose weight, what do you need to get? Sleep. Why? Because it readjusts our hormones. It also, guess what? Gets cortisol levels right. If your cortisol levels are wrong, you're never going to lose weight. You know what I mean? You want to lose weight and get feeling better? Foundational mitochondrial health. That's a ticket. It's not
That
just
must
the gym.
I'm just gonna do a final plug because that must be it. Behind the scenes, I shared with the guys that I didn't intentionally try to lose almost 5 pounds in the last 6 weeks. I felt like I'd pretty much found my set point, but then I started taking this recovery nighttime sleep thing, and at first I thought I was tripping on acid because I had the craziest dreams, but I was in this full REM state. And without changing anything, in fact, I'm eating a lot more now than ever. That was a byproduct. That is wild. That has to be part of it. So yeah, I think this is huge. And for everybody again listening, I have the link in our show notes for you to dive in, get exposed, get learning, continue to learn. And I just couldn't be more excited that you're here to teach us and just be a resource for us in this industry. Thank you guys.
Well, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
We appreciate that you're passing the information along because once people understand it, they're like, the bright light comes on. I get it. But people like you and sharing with your listeners, we truly appreciate it.
The pleasure is mine. And we're going to keep this going. If you love today's conversation, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening so that more people like you will discover Beyond the Technique, where we're here to change the way that you're supporting your business. I promise I'll bring these guys back. There's more to come on your health and wellness. I've got your back. Until next time, have an awesome day and stay strong.